Hey, what's up? It's me, Lex, back with another Pathfinder video. Today we are continuing the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Grand Tournament. This is where I match two randomly chosen level 2 characters of different classes to fight each other in a head-on battle. Every character has the Battle Medicine Ancestry feat and the ability to be supplied with all of their normal equipment, but there are no consumables, and spellcasters are given an additional casting of any singular spell that they have already cast, the same way that a wizard has by default, to account for the fact that they should have scrolls as sort of their equipment by this point. As a reminder right up front here, this is not meant to be indicative of the actual performance of any of these classes. These are low level, very swingy battles, and none of these builds are meant to be the most optimized thing you can create. They're just made for fun, and this whole series is for fun as well. So, let's get right into it. I have the wheel right here, and let's get it started spinning to assemble our teams. Our first character is going to be the champion. Alrighty. So on team 1 we have Anthony Chong Jones, the champion. He is a human champion of the obedience cause. It's a selfish cause where when you take damage, you can attempt to command enemies to drop prone or take damage. He's wielding a bastard sword and full plate with a steel shield, and he has the defensive advance feat to be able to, for a 2-action activity with the flourish trait, raise a shield and stride, and if you end your movement within melee reach of at least one enemy, he can make a melee strike against them. He also has the Iron Repercussions feat, which means that when he uses Iron Command, if the enemy refuses to kneel, which is the fall prone effect, you can also deal persistent mental damage. You deal persistent instead of normal mental damage. And you decide whether it will be persistent before your enemy chooses whether to kneel or not. The damage is the same, however. He also took Natural Ambition at level 1 to take Deity's Domain for the Dragon Focus spell. He is a follower of Shizuru, and this gives him access to the Draconic Barrage feat, or focus spell, which allows him to surround himself with dragons that cause his strikes to deal additional damage. He can then also sustain the spell to have the dragons fly off and bombard a creature within range to do some damage as sort of a finisher. Alrighty. Next up, and rounding out team 1, we have the Necromancer. It pushed just over into Necromancer. And so that is going to be... Who is our Necromancer here? Here we go. Even Stephen H. Whoopsie. Accidentally dragged him into a teleport zone I had set up on the map here. Alrighty. Even Stephen H is a Minotaur Necromancer with the Life Tap feat, giving him an additional focus spell. He can channel a thrall to move towards a foe and drain the life from them. That's in addition to being a Flesh Magician, which gives the Toughness bonus feat, and the Bone Spear focus spell, which is a focus spell that does damage in a line. It has very good scaling, but at this level it's not particularly good. It's only a D8 in a 15-foot line. He is also prepared Bless and Enfeeble, and is wearing leather armor and wielding a dagger. Now, moving into Team 2, let's see who we have in our first slot. looks like we're going to have our wizard on team 2 here. And our wizard is Seraphim. Our wizard also has some very interesting tactics up their sleeve, so they are going to be starting all the way back here. And our final character is going to be the final contestant on team 2, our summoner. Alrighty. With our teams selected. Oh, and I guess I did forget to go over the builds of these two. Seraphim is your standard wizard, but based in the school of civic wizardry, the sort of building school for wizards. He is a Nephilim with the Sublime Mobility feat, gaining a climb speed of 10 feet. His Pilgrim's token and a crossbow in his backpack, as well as helpful steps, 2 thunder strikes, and a hydraulic push prepared in the spells. And then our summoner here is Okame. They are a summoner with a plant eidolon and the Extend Boost class feat, allowing them to extend their boost eidolon by spending a focus point so that they don't have to spend as many actions on it, as well as heal and thunder strike, as well as noxious vapors in their spells. So with our teams assembled, all I have to do is move these two onto the opposition real quickly. Well, these 3, I suppose, because of the eidolon. Alrighty. Configure. And done. And now we can add them all into initiative and begin this combat. Now, one thing of note is that the only roll that really matters here is whoever rolls the highest, because I pancake initiative to prevent teams from getting stacked. So Seraphim here is going to be moved down until after Even Stevens, so that team 2 is not taking 2 turns in a row. Alrighty. Our turn order is going to be Anthony Chong Jones into Okame, into Even Steven H, into Seraphim. And Seraphim's plan might not work out so well with so many people before them. But let's get this combat started. Anthony Chong Jones. I think simply getting in with the defensive advance is a worthwhile goal. So a 25-foot stride, and then a 2-action defensive advance to get all the way here next to Okame and raise a shield. And this was just my bad. I would have had the eidolon up front. So Raha Nandepu is going to be in front. This is the plant eidolon. As Anthony Chong Jones strides in and raises his shield, he will strike with his blade and hit the eidolon, dealing 5 damage. That'll end his turn, and we'll move on to Okame, our summoner here, who is going to use Extend Boost and then Boost Eidolon to try and save some actions here. So, that is a check against a standard difficulty DC for level. It'll be a nature check. An 11 is going to be a failure. So the focus point is not expended. And the boost eidolon goes off normally. And next, Okame will follow through with... bursting an enemy down seems to be the right approach here. So acting together to Thunder Strike Anthony Chong Jones here, while simultaneously Raha Nandepu will strike with the Nut Bludgeon attack. The attack will miss. And then Anthony Chung Jones will make this reflex save against the Thunder Strike. Even taking into account the -1 penalty for wearing metal armor, will take half damage here. And then using the Iron Command reaction, Anthony Chong Jones will choose for this to do Persistent Mental. And so Okame here is going to have to choose either to drop prone by kneeling or refuse and take some mental damage. Okame is going to simply drop prone, taking a knee behind Raha Nandepu here. Here we are. Alright. So Anthony Chung Jones also gains some additional damage against specifically Okame, not Raha Nandepu. And now Anthony Chung Jones will take half of the damage from the Thunder Strike. And because he was damaged by the spell, he will become Clumsy 1 for 1 round. That'll end Okame's turn, and we'll move on to Even Steven H. The Necromancer kind of wants to get in and start locking things down. And so, yes, we'll do so. We'll stride up once, and then cast Create Thrall twice to create a Thrall right here and a Thrall right here. Both times making an attack against Seraphim, thinking that taking down the wizard with a slashing attack would be a good idea. And it looks like the automation doesn't include the attack rolls, so I'm going to roll them using Phase Bolts. The second one is a miss because of the multiple attack penalty, and so it will simply create those 2 bodies on the field. Now we're going to move on to Seraphim, whose plan has been pretty thoroughly ruined. Seraphim's original plan here was to use helpful steps to climb up high onto this pillar, and then take advantage of earthworks to create a small stepping stone that both they and Okame could stand on and then pelt their enemies from afar. A little bit of GM adjudication on the earthworks there, but it looks like their best bet is probably just going to be to try and dump damage into their foes. Being surrounded like this is pretty bad, and they think that getting the champion off of the summoner would be a good idea, so they're going to cast Hydraulic Push as an action, and will hit despite the raised shield, dealing 13 damage and knocking Anthony back 5 feet as he takes 13 damage. Very sizable. That knocked out a huge portion of his HP. With Seraphim's last action here, I think simply attacking the thrall below with a kick to destroy it would be a good idea. We'll move back up here to Anthony Chong Jones, who is going to cast Lay on Hands on himself, healing 6 hit points. And then he will use the Defensive Advance ability to move up here, raise his shield, and I'll also have to move these back. There we go. And then strike at prone Okame. That seems fitting. Hitting for 11 damage due to the additional damage from attacking a target that harmed you. And Okame is not looking great. Speaking of, we'll move on to Okame, who is going to spend 2 actions casting the heal spell on themselves. And then 1 action acting together, extending Boost Eidolon. We'll do Nature, there it is. A 16 is a success, and so Extend Boost will last for 3 rounds. So I'll go in here and edit that. Oopsie. As Raha Nandepu will strike at Anthony. Unfortunately, it'll be a miss because of the raised shield. Clumsy 1 also wears off. I believe it might have even worn off at the beginning of the turn here. Yes, it would have. So that is a miss even if the shield was not raised. Actually, no, because, actually, I should double check. I don't believe... Where's Clumsy? Oh, yes, it would have been a miss regardless. Alrighty. Even Stephen H is ready to take their turn, and they are going to use Life Tap. Targeting this thrall, it will suck the energy out of Seraphim here, who must make a Fortitude save. That'll be a success, luckily, with a very high roll, causing Seraphim to become drained 1. And then Anthony Chung Jones here will regain 2 hit points because Seraphim lost 2 hit points by becoming drained. Even Steven's last action then will be to create another thrall, popping it down here for flanking, and then I will again use Phase Bolt for the attack roll and miss. Alrighty. We're back over to our wizard, who is going to use Drain Bonded Item to bring back Hydraulic Push, and then cast it at Anthony Chung Jones once more. Coming in from behind, that'll be a miss because of the raised shield, unfortunately. And with the last action, Seraphim will... what can a wizard do with 1 action? Stepping seems appropriate. Getting closer in to potentially use the Battle Medicine action. We'll move back to the top with Anthony Chung Jones, who is going to take a strike at the still prone Okame here, after raising his shield once more. That'll be a hit for 6 damage. And just swinging again will yield no results and end his turn. Okame then would like to stand and then act together to cast Electric Arc as Raha strikes at Anthony Chung Jones. That'll also be a miss, a critical miss in fact, but then both even Stephen H and Anthony Chung Jones are going to have to make reflex saves. Even Stephen H can, however, attempt to identify Electric Arc being cast with Primal. Using his reaction, that'll be a failure, so unfortunately no bonus to his saving throw. He critically succeeds anyway though, and Anthony Chung Jones succeeds normally. So there will be the damage. Anthony Chung Jones will use Iron Command once more, choosing Persistent Damage again. Okame thinks that taking the Persistent Mental is better than being prone, and Anthony Chung Jones will get a damage bonus. Alrighty. Did I already do the attack roll? I did. And then the saving throws, but I have not had Anthony Chung Jones take half damage, which is 3. Alrighty. Trying to spread out the damage there did not work so well, and we will move on to Even Steven H, as Okame takes some mental damage and then recovers. Even Steven is going to go for a bone spear attack. So a 10-foot line originating from this thrall is able to hit all 3 of these characters, which means that Even Steven can make an attack roll individually against each one. Missing, missing, and hitting. Make a melee spell attack roll against the AC of each creature. That could mean 1 attack roll, or it could mean an attack roll for each. I'm gonna go with the second one there. And Even Steven will miss Okame and Raha, but will hit Zeraphim and deal 6 damage to the wizard. And then Even Steven's last action will be to create another thrall right down here. Once again using Phase Bolt for the attack roll. But that will be a miss. We're back over to our wizard. Things are looking kind of dire. That'll be an action to battle medicine Okame. That will be a failure. An action to battle medicine Raha, which will also be a failure. And the last action, to simply attempt to shove the powerful target. An unfortunate failure despite a very high roll. This champion is just too resilient. And we'll return to Anthony Chung Jones here, who is going to renew himself even more with Lay on Hands. Raise his shield once more, and continue to strike down, going for Okame just to deal the additional damage. And a good thing too, that'll take 7. And Okame is almost down. But that will end Anthony's turn, and Okame will get 1 more at least. I don't believe I've had Okame use the spell refresh already. So Okame will regain the heal spell and cast it for 2 actions. Healing a sizable 14. And then the last action here will be to cast Guidance onto Raha as Raha strikes at Anthony. That'll be a hit, and will deal 7 damage to this champion, who is going to take the opportunity to command the Eidolon, who will choose to refuse taking the persistent mental damage. Alrighty, and that will end Okame's turn, as they take max damage from that persistent damage and do not recover. That might have been the wrong decision. Even Steven H over here is going to cast Enfeeble at this Eidolon. The Eidolon will make its saving throw and succeed, becoming Enfeebled 1 for a round. And Even Steven's last turn will, or last action for the turn will be to create another thrall, just to kind of corner in Zeraphim here, and get an attack in as well. That will be a hit, though. Dealing 3 damage to the wizard. And speaking of the wizard, we move over to them. A cast of hydraulic push, regaining it with the special ability that casters gain, seems fitting. Casting it at Anthony Chung Jones will hit and deal 10 damage. And also push him back 5 feet. He is close to going down. Seraphim's last action then will be to step into place here, to occupy this location so there can't be flanking with the thrall. Anthony Chung Jones then thinks it might be best to simply smite down the wizard, and so will raise his shield and strike, hitting for 6 and almost bringing the wizard down. And then another strike, throwing a kick, will hit and drop the wizard down unconscious. That'll move Seraphim's initiative to right above Anthony's. And that will end Anthony's turn as well, as we move on to Okame, who will go ahead and attempt to battle medicine our wizard here, getting them back in the fight with a fortunate success, healing 4 hit points. Okame will then follow up with another electric arc as Raha strikes at Anthony Chung Jones. That'll be a miss again because of the shield. And then both Anthony and even Stephen H will make their saving throws. A success from even Stephen H and a failure by Anthony Chung Jones. Even Stephen will take 3, and Anthony will use Iron Command. Okame will kneel as he takes 7 damage, which drops him down to a single hit point. Things are getting dire. And that will end Okame's turn. Oh, as Okame takes 5 more damage from the persistent and does not recover from it. Even Stephen H might be able to play cleanup here, as he is going to, let's see. Not quite. He might play cleanup on a single opponent then. Utilizing the Injury Echo spell on Raha Nondepu here. 4 slashing damage. Raha will make a will save and fail, taking 6 damage. Oh goodness. And then, even Stephen's last action will be to create a thrall, tossing it down right over here to strike at Raha. Fortunately, a miss is not going to bring down our summoner quite yet. And Raha is no longer enfeebled. We'll move on to Seraphim here, who, despite being on the ground, might have the ability to drag this champion down with them. They're going to take a swipe at the champion's legs here. Missing, unfortunately. And then they're going to try to arc some magic between Anthony and even Steven. Both of them will have to make reflex saves. Ho ho ho. Whoopsie. And with a failure on Anthony Chung Jones, he is going to go down, actually. Dropping his sword and shield, as even Steven takes only 3 damage and is still looking pretty healthy with 24 left over. Next up is Okame, who is going to try to capitalize on this downed opponent by acting together to both stride, like so, or no, to stride and stand. And then we'll have Raha strike once, critically missing, as Okame will battle medicine themselves and fail to do so. Things are looking close here. Even Steven watches as the Eidolon goes down and the summoner drops unconscious due to the persistent mental damage. Which means that all even Steven has to do is take out Zeraphim and their team will win. And so a phase bolt seems about as good a way to do it as any. Hitting because of the wizard being prone and dealing 5 damage, which is enough to knock our wizard unconscious. Even Steven H here, big, bulky, and full of magic, is going to claim victory for Team 1 in this episode of the Pathfinder Grand Tournament. The Necromancer and the Champion are going to move on to round 2. And the Wizard and Summoner are going to be removed from the roster. Can't wait to see what they get up to next. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you liked the video, subscribe if you would like to see more, and toss me a few bucks on coffee if you'd like to keep the channel running. It's always good to make these videos, so I hope you're enjoying them. Thank you to my coffee supporters. Donating at the monthly few bucks support tier, I have Streggy, Taran, Phoenix FH, Kizo, and Max Magnus 20,019. You all help keep this channel running, and I appreciate it more than I can express. Thank you. Thank you.